With the US Fed not cutting the interest rates, the market experienced a big dip, and not only for stocks, but also for cryptos like CRO. But will we dip even lower, or will we now get a big reversal? Well guys, I would say let's strap in and let's find out. This video is sponsored by Todin, a new Web3 shopping page coming soon to Cronos. Before we continue the more bearish news, I do want to say that we closed the month of July with a beautiful green big candle. You can see we start at the bottom range really of the rainbow chart, but we ended up going about 70% higher, so not too shabby. One of the biggest green candles for the month in the history of CRO. So far though, the month of August is a tiny red candle, but we do have about 30 more days to decide are we going to close the month in the green or deeper in the red. That's of course the main topic for today's video, but I do want to urge you, ladies and gentlemen, to sometimes zoom out as well and use some monthly or weekly indicators when you do your own research, because I don't give any financial advice. But what I've been looking at, for example, at the MACD here, is that we're still in the green with no indications of going down. You can see we're still building these staircases here. We're still building these staircases, and I do believe that we're still in the first phase really of the big parabolic part of the bull run. And then of course we're going to get something like we've seen in the bear market, but then inverted into the green. You can see here in 2021 we went quite high on the MACD and we haven't been that high yet. So we still have a big bullish part ahead of ourselves. So don't get scared now by some minor dips in the main wall. Let's go though to the short-term analysis as well, because there are some bearish takes. There are some bearish takes on the horizon that we, for example, can see here on the Bitcoin chart. Because what happened a few days ago is that we got a rejection on the 21-day. Here, the purple line. The purple line is the 21-day simple moving average. And you can see we had a beautiful touch here and a bounce, but the few days following, we went below it. So now we're looking for support. And typically, once we break down below the 21-day, Bitcoin does continue going down towards the next line. The next line is typically the 50-day, the 50-day simple moving average. And we can also see that in the months prior to the pump here. You can see here, we escaped down below the 21-day and we continued going down to the 50-day. And the 50-day held as support. So the question is, will we now again go touch the 50-day here as well to see if we can actually bounce up higher from that point? That does kind of align nicely with the previous top. You can see the previous top is at about 1012 or 112 for Bitcoin. So if we get a bounce here, it would both test the previous high as well as the 50-day simple moving average. So this is actually quite a likely scenario for Bitcoin. One counter argument that you could make is that we're still trading for Bitcoin within the flag pattern range. We've been going up and down, but we do respect these borders here. And the flag pattern overall, guys, for the long term is a bullish indicator. You can see here the flagpole, and here we do have the flag itself. And the flagpole is the indicator for the next target. You can see where we break out. It can be here, or it can maybe even be a bit more in the future. That is also where we can set our breakout point, and our target here is about 134K for Bitcoin. So overall, guys, sometimes we do need that final dip to get some strength to launch ourselves towards that breakout point. And we've also experienced that a few months prior here. One final dip toward the bottom zone of the flag that could actually launch us up toward the breakout point. So far, guys, it is still playing out like the flag pattern is supposed to play out. So there, you might make the argument that we could get an exact bounce at the bottom range here of the flag. Anyways, enough about Bitcoin. What about the CRO token? Because there, we do also have a different bear case. But let's talk about that after the quick word of today's sponsor. Todin is completely changing the game for online shopping with their latest price comparison tool. You can find all the products with the cheapest price available, and also with a bit of a Web3 twist. Soon they will be launching their own token as well on the Cronos chain, and you can find a lot more information on their white paper as well. Guys, the links to Todin will be in the description down below. Anyways, let's continue now with the CRO token. Now, what we did see here is a bit of a double top at the 15 cent level. We tried breaking 50 cent twice, but we got rejected. And after that rejection, we went down quite quickly. You can see a dip of almost 10% from 15 cents almost all the way to 13 cents. But so far, I would say one thing that is kind of a good thing for the CRO token is that we're still in this trend. We started a trend in the early days of July, and we're still nicely within this range here. So if we keep just bouncing in between here, these levels for CRO, I think we could be fine. However, there's also the bear case that we might have a retest of the 21-day. And the 21-day is quite interesting, I believe, because this 21-day is going to go slowly up, of course, in the next few days. And if you get a retest there, it would also correspond to the breakout point, really, of where we started this moon mission towards the 15 cent level. But of course, we're not there yet. I do say though that if we keep bouncing, that would be the bull case. This would be the bear case. So do remind guys to check in with this level here, about 13.3 cents. One thing that could bring down the CRO token is the further altcoin market, including also Ethereum here, because Ethereum is right at the 21-day. If we also there get a bit of a rejection or a breakdown, we could go down all the way towards the 50-day. That does correspond, by the way, to about that $3,000 mark. So $3,000 has been important for Ethereum for a long time. So maybe there a retest of the $3,000 mark and then a continuation to the upside again. Also, guys, we've been in a bull market, but we do see that those 30%, about 30% drawdowns are not too crazy. And this would only be a 22% drawdown for Ethereum. So guys, definitely within the realm of possibilities. And that would also potentially continue Bitcoin dominance with further strength. So you can see here that we had a breakdown for Bitcoin dominance, so Bitcoin versus altcoins, but we had a bounce here on the 50-week. And now it's going back up again like what we've seen in November. So if it's going to continue, it will continue the strength of Bitcoin versus altcoins, and that is bearish for CRO. And I want to show you one final thing about Cronos before we're going to end the video, but I do want to remind you guys that I still believe this is the overall picture, what we can somewhat expect for the final part really of 2025. But there's one thing in this fractal. If we copy the fractal, you can see this basically is the final part of the 2021 bull run. So I do believe there are many similarities between where we are now and the final part of the 2021 bull run for CRO. But can you see here on this fractal that we followed quite closely is that we had a big dip. We had a big dip also in this final part of 2021. We went down, I think, also about 30% here. You can see 25%. So if you follow this fractal, for CRO, then also there, we somewhat expect a bit of a further dip. It would fit the narrative of the previous cycle perfectly, but also there, guys, after going down about 25%, we did finally continue that bull cycle as well to about the 20 cent level. So overall, the long-term target still is about, well, 20 cents or medium target, I would say. But could we go down as low as about 10 cents even? Well, a 30% drawdown is definitely in the cards. So what do we say if you go down like 30%? 30%? Well, then we first have to go down below 12 cents. But finally, a 30% drawdown would bring us back to about 10 cents 30. And interestingly enough, the 10 cents 30 target also is the, I think, a 200-day currently for CRO. So the 200-day is at about 10 cents. That could be a very painful scenario. I don't think that's the most likely scenario. I think first here a test of the 21-day, and then we will see maybe a little dip lower to like 12 cents, but 12 cents is very strong support, guys. So don't get scared too much. Let's first see if we might get a bounce here at the 13.3 cent level. Then if we do, we'll continue. But I'm not that bearish. If you take a look at indicators like the RSI on the daily for CRO, we do see we're no longer overbought, but we are trending a bit towards the neutral zone regarding overboughtness or oversoldness. And I think that would be a great reset for momentum of the CRO token so we can start moving later again in the cycle. So far though, guys, again, I don't give any financial advice at this point. We have to watch for major levels. If you get a breakdown on those major levels, you should get a bit worried. And if not, well, I would say it is a buy the dip opportunity. But of course, no financial advice. If you have seen some different indicators, please let us know in the comments down below. And if you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit the like button and also strap in for more videos, of course. By the way, there still are some major catalysts in 2025 for the CRO token. So if you want to learn more, check out this video as well.